It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for season 10 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're gonna be looking at how and when Maggie will be returning. Of course, they revealed that she will be coming back at the end of the second half of season 10, the finale, episode 16 to be exact, but we still don't know how much of an involvement she's going to have and how she'll come back. With regards to where she is and what she's up to, we simply don't know a lot about that. All we know is that she went back with Georgie to her community to help her. Georgie being the woman that showed up to Hilltop back in season 8 and gave Maggie the book with the key to the future. The book was what they actually used to rebuild and expand Hilltop after all that war into what it was before it got burned down during the Whisper War. So it survived only from one war to the other. But anyway, so in the sneak peek that they released for the finale, we actually do see Maggie. So we have already seen Maggie return in a way. But what that scene is, she gets this letter from back home. Now, one thing I want to mention in brackets here, I don't think they would have spoiled or revealed Maggie's scene like this if the finale was not delayed. For those of you that don't know, the finale of season 10 was delayed. It's been postponed because they were not able to finish post-production. So it's been pushed back until later this year. We don't have a date yet, but it's gonna be coming out later this year. But I feel like this was way too big of a moment for them to include in a sneak peek. But I think they did it as a way to give fans some exciting and exclusive footage while they wait for the actual finale to come back later this year. Now, in terms of what the letter is, the person writing the letter pretty much tells Maggie about who the Whispers are, what they're capable of, what they did, who they killed, and all of that. Now, in terms of who sent the letter to her, it was probably Carol. In episode 14, which was called Look at the Flowers, Carol was actually hallucinating and talking to Alpha. In that hallucination, it was revealed to us that Carol sent Maggie letters to tell her about the Whispers, Alpha, and what they have done. Also in season 9, they did mention that they have been consistently sending Maggie letters to tell her about Hilltop and how it's expanding and all of that as well. We know that Carol is probably the one that sent this particular letter to Maggie. So like I said, the letter tells Maggie about everything she needs to know when it comes to the Whispers and everything that she missed when she was gone. Jesus' death, Enid's death, Tara's death, Henry's death, and so on. So she's in the loop about everything that has been going on. Carol told her not only about the deaths that happened, but also how much of a threat the Whispers really are and what they're capable of. Carol specifically told her that they wear Whisper skin, they blend in with the Walkers, and that Maggie should look out for suspicious activity by the Walkers. So she should watch their hands, watch for weapons, and all of that. Now, I'm sure Maggie would have or already has received more letters, and she probably at this point knows as well that Hilltop burned to the ground. Now, one thing I want to mention quick, I was a little disappointed when it comes to Maggie receiving the letter. It was unrealistic and it wasn't grounded. Maggie didn't react to learning Jesus, Tara, and Enid died the way she should have, or the way we were expecting. I think she should have shown a bit more emotion because she was very close to not only Jesus, but also Enid and Tara as well. But maybe they just didn't show it in the sneak peek and we'll see it in the actual finale. Now, before they actually showed us the sneak peek, I was under the assumption that Maggie's return will not be related to the Whispers and that she will not have anything to do with the Whispers' war, conflict. However, now after seeing the sneak peek, it's a lot more likely that she will, in fact, have some sort of a role to play when it comes to the Whisper arc. It would be super confusing and super odd if she didn't and she just came back after the war was over. Especially now that they did explicitly tease that she knows about the Whispers and the situation at hand. But in terms of how much of an involvement she's gonna have, that remains to be seen. I just don't have a clue about that. I mean, imagine if her only involvement is her reading the letter and Maggie's only scenes are the ones that we saw in the sneak peek. How disappointing would that be? So I'm sure that she's gonna have some sort of a bigger role than just reading the letter, but I just don't know how much of an involvement that's gonna be. Another thing that makes things interesting is that Angela Kang, who is the showrunner, revealed that they were able to squeeze in Maggie into the end of the season and have her do something significant or critical in this story, something that matters. this hints at a bigger involvement and teases a bigger role from Maggie when she comes back. But at the same time, she joined pretty late into the filming of the finale, so her return is probably not going to be super huge either, because they would have already shot most of the scenes from the finale by the time Lauren Cohan, the actress that plays Maggie, was able to shoot any scenes for the finale. So in my opinion, I think it's more likely that she's gonna show up and make a big comeback by doing something big or significant to save the day or something, instead of being present throughout the finale episode and being a part of the Whisperers arc throughout the final episode. Now, two things I don't want to see, because I feel it would be cheap for them to do, is bring Maggie back just in time to redirect the big hurt that shows up at the tower, and or get rid of them in some way and save everyone, or come back and kill Beta or something. As big of a character as she is, and as glad as I am that she's coming back, these two stories are not only expected and predictable, but it's a cheap way to conclude the story. Specifically the Maggie coming back to kill Beta thing, because it's sort of a slap in the face. I'm sorry, but Maggie does not deserve to kill Beta. She didn't do anything in the Whispers arc. She wasn't there at all. So why does she get this epic moment? You know what I mean? It's kind of like a lazy way for the writing team to end the story. Nothing against Maggie though. I mean, I would feel the same way if it was Rick instead of Maggie, who came back and killed Beta or saved everyone from the herd or something. Now, another thing we saw in the sneak peek was this mysterious character. Now, there's been a lot of theories going around about the identity of this mysterious character and who this mysterious character is likely to be. This mysterious ninja guy or gal has these like sharp knife-like weapons and look like he or she can do some damage. And he or she doesn't look like a Whisperer. They have a mask on, but it's not like a Whisperer mask. It's not a Walker mask. It's some other type of mask. And Maggie's name does actually come up when looking at these theories about who that person could be. I think it's possible that it was Maggie, but why the mask? You know what I mean? So I don't think that it's Maggie. It's possible, but it's less likely. And Maggie wasn't a ninja last we saw her. It's possible though that whoever this is came with Maggie from where she came from. That's a more likely scenario. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. What is Maggie's story going to be after the Whisperers arc is over? I think there's going to be two potential big stories for Maggie in season 11, one of which is related to Negan. Although I do think we will see something between Negan and Maggie, I don't think that their beef will restart, and I don't think that Maggie will confront Negan over Glenn's death again or anything like that, because it was already done, and it was a perfect way to close the Negan and Maggie chapter. Maggie got her closure back in season 9 episode 5 when she confronted Negan, so we don't need to see that whole thing again. But Maggie ain't gonna be down with free Negan either, not yet at least. So I think Maggie will be looking to put him back in his cell where she thinks he belongs. With that said, I'm sure she will face a fair share of criticism and opposition to that decision from others, like Daryl, Judith, Gabriel, if he survives this season, Carol, and maybe others as well. Because let's face it, Negan has earned his freedom. Not acceptance in the community, but his freedom. So I'm sure Maggie is not just going to be able to put him back in his jail cell. However, an alternative they may come up with is to exile Negan away from Alexandria. That might be a more grounded and realistic way to push the story. I'm sure Daryl wouldn't mind that either, same with Carol. In season 10 episode 14, Carol even told Negan, "You are a free man, so do whatever you want." So I'm sure she would be down with anything other than killing or putting Negan back in his cell. I mean, if she's down with killing or putting Negan in his cell, then she's just a hypocrite. Same with Daryl. I think he'll be okay with exiling Negan as well. Now, if they end up going this route, then they can do a lot of stuff with Negan outside of the show, whether it's a standalone miniseries, a spin-off show, or his own movie, you name it. as long as they don't kill him and exile him. They can do pretty much anything with him. This would even be a cool sort of remix to his comic story as well. It's close, but it's not the exact same thing. Now, the second major story for Maggie we might see in season 11 involves Commonwealth, which is the community that Stephanie is from. Stephanie being the girl that Eugene was communicating with on the radio. If they follow the comics for that story, which it seems like they are, then Maggie's role is pretty defined, because she does have an important role in that arc. Now, if they remix it and change it, there is a possibility for them to give Maggie Rick's story in that arc. Before I talk a bit more about that, I do want to put out a comic spoiler warning. There's going to be some huge comic spoilers I'm going to go through, so if you're not a comic reader or are not interested to know about potential future story arcs, you can leave this video because I don't want to be the one spoiling it for you. So with that comic spoiler out of the way, what they can potentially do with Maggie is give Maggie Rick's story. So what they can do is have Maggie execute Alden, like Rick executed Dwight in the comics. Since Maggie and Alden have a background or a history together, that would be a very solid way to remix the story. A less likely but more shocking remix could be to give Maggie Rick's comic book death. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that, and I don't think that it'll work, especially since Maggie has been gone for so long. It would feel out of place to kill her after bringing her back. But it is a possibility if they want to go that route. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. How much of an involvement do you think Maggie's going to have in the finale? And what sort of future storylines do you think we're going to see from Maggie in season 11? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.